These are the unpromised provinces of the Harbingers. This is a dreadful place. Fancy a game? My game! I am the Gatekeeper!
I'm sure you're well aware of the board game known as Atmosfear in regions such as Europe, or Nightmare in North America and its birthplace of Australia. After all, those of us in the UK already had a Nightmare at the time, and it was good. Upon release in 1991, this game was a huge novelty, because we not only got to play a creepy board game, but got to interact with the wonderful Gatekeeper through the medium of VHS. Of course, being VHS meant that the Gatekeeper's taunts and demands were the same on every playthrough, with the only difference being whose turn it was at the time or the luck of the dice roll.
You will be punished! I'd like to punish one of you now.
So, with multimedia on the rise and the home computer capable of wonderful things, ramming the board game into the CD-ROM format seemed a superlative suggestion. Not only could you and your mates pack around a Windows PC and join in the fun, but the Gatekeeper's quips could be mixed up, no longer bound by the linear fashion of video cassette.
You are the chosen one. You are also better off dead.
And so it was that Atmosfear, the third dimension, would appear for Windows-based PCs in 1995.
This is a dreadful place.
The same year that Atmosfear's lineage of board game sequels was revitalised by the release of The Harbingers, a game with 6 interchangeable provinces fitting together to form a hexagon of the other side, with Wenanti Nashul making a welcome return as the Gatekeeper. It's actually this format that Atmosfear the Third Dimension is based around.
Atmosphere.
So, let's begin with the box. Developed by a couple of cowboys, Pty Limited, the company behind the original board games, and published by EMG Publishing, we have the familiar Gatekeeper's eyes to lure us in to this multimedia delight. We are told of eye-popping 3D SVGA graphics, multiple drop-dead dazzling environments, and non-stop monitor melting replayability. Each game experience is diabolically different. Yeah, they've tried to cram some appropriate adjectives in there, but it's not really working, chaps. The back greets us with a warning. The host of this game is not user-friendly, although I've always found him incredibly amicable, to be honest. There's a blurb caught between pictures of each harbinger of doom. Inside is a double CD-ROM, one containing the game and the other an audio CD that you're supposed to play on a standard CD player to add atmosphere, if you don't mind the pun. It's also the backing music to this very video. Obviously you can't use your computer's CD drive whilst playing, as that's tied up streaming data, and no one had dual CD-ROM drives back in the 90s, unless you were, I don't know, someone who I dislike. This makes it feel like one of those old ZX Spectrum titles where the music was provided on a separate tape, mainly so you didn't have to hear the Spectrum beeper ruin those sweet, sweet arcade tunes. Each harbinger has a card with a map and key of keys. And of course there's a diabolically illustrated manual, diabolically good in this instance. We obviously need a suitable PC to run this, but the specifications are reasonably undemanding. A simple 486DX 33MHz with 4MB of RAM, 256 colour 640x480 graphics, and Windows 3.1 or higher should suffice. So with that brief installation done, here's how the game plays out in single player mode. After setting the game time in minutes and the maximum time for each move in seconds, you then need to pick a box to receive a character.
But who or what will you become?
Then you pick your greatest fear, and you are thrust into your randomly chosen character's province. Your job then is to find a key, move on to the next province, find another key, and so on.
Many are called, but few are chosen.
If you choose to start with an easy difficulty level, you get no opponents, and you also have all your keys already. In this case, you simply have to wander into the centre of the board to face your fear. If the fear is the one you picked, you lose. If it isn't, then you win. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Hey, do not gloat. You got me on a bad day.
Of course, if you choose a harder difficulty, then you have to collect the other keys from the other provinces.
You can do it the hard way. You choose the level, and I'll do my level best to make your life a misery.
And occasionally have a scuffle with an AI opponent along the way. You can't see any moves of these players, which is a little boring, but they can challenge you to a duel at any time. Here it pays to have collected power points, which you can do by landing on certain spaces, because the more you have, the more potent your attack bar is. If you've got, say, 50 power points, then a full attack on your bar will take out a full attack on a player with just 25 power points. You lose the points you attack with, so measurement and strategy is required here.
Cut them.
Then you can go back to collecting keys and getting the hell out of there. But of course, this is a game which is far more fun played with friends, even if you do have to huddle around a desk and share a mouse. Thankfully, Octavius Kitten of the superb YouTube channel Octavius Kitten dropped by for a game, and we had a bit of a nightmare of a time, if you don't mind the extra pun.
What are you scared of?
Who's next?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yay! Right, shove.
Because even with more players, it's no way as good as the board game.
Oh, I can't turn around. Oh, there we go. Where was I? Hang on. What is happening?
The CD loading times are terrible.
The game says it needs at least a double-speed CD-ROM. I'm using a 24-speed one here, but even so, the loading is pretty slow. The game utilises pre-rendered FMV sequences to simulate gameplay, and each part is streamed from the CD. Sometimes turning around is painfully slow, or sometimes you just can't turn around, depending on possibly where or how you're standing, I don't know.
You can't turn around.
I can.
You can't listen to him, he's calling you a twit.
He said do it.
No, he didn't, he said
Do
twit.
it.
You remember we specified a timer for your turn at the start of the game? Yeah, apparently that doesn't matter anymore, you can take as long as you want. It won't be the next player's turn until you whack that spacebar, kind of making that selection just a bit redundant.
I can get to the key. Which way am I facing?
All in all, it makes for a somewhat frustrating and tedious experience. The only good thing out of this is the Gatekeeper himself, but I can see how even he could become grating after a few games.
One shot.
Roll 1 die. And if you can roll a 1, you will receive a key.
This is simulating the video, isn't it?
Yes! I got a key!
I won't burden you with our full playthrough, but if you're absolutely convinced you want to see it, then head over to my extra channel for 15 minutes of pure, unrelenting horror, terror, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great evening.
I told you, it's probably because you're not at a junction.
So I need to be at a junction?
Yes.
You're sure about this?
No, that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, it does, because you need to...
What, you need to circle, you're not like a truck, you need to circle out into the junction and then come back round.
Yeah, you do.
But it loads so slowly from the CD-ROM that you don't know when you're turning.